too. The police and fire department leaders say the real winners are the people of San Francisco that'll benefit from the money raised and donated to the SFPOA Community Service Fund. That money will help improve safety and quality of life in San Francisco.
It was so strong. I thought there was either a truck hit the front of the house or a tree fell over the house.
A series of earthquakes rattles the East Bay, why people there are on alert, even after the shaking from the quake swarm subsided. We're learning new details about how San Francisco plans to raise money to protect Muni from financial trouble, how a proposed property tax would work, and how much money various property owners would have to pay. Then there could be a new entry to the race for governor, what Attorney General Rob Bonta did that has supporters speculating, and what he has to say about the idea of running.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Gassia Michaelia.
I'm Andre Sr. It is Tuesday, December 9th. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It is cold outside and cold in the studio, too. Rosemary Rusko, she's in the Weather Center to tell us a little bit more about the weather forecast. Can you do something about the weather in here, too?
I wish I could. It is so drafty right over me. Both of you, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Getting outside, bundle up. We've got another chilly start, as Andre said just a moment ago. Temperatures ranging in the 40s for most of us, and a live look there at a sky attempting to grow lighter. The sun rises less than 15 minutes or so, and we do expect partly cloudy skies for today. We are joined by patchy dense fog once again this morning, and temperatures ranging from upper 30s to upper 40s. Getting into the afternoon, calling for a little bit more sunshine and a modest warm up. A better look at the current conditions, what we can expect for today, as well as the week ahead into your weekend coming up at 7 o'clock. Let's see if there's any improvement over the East Bay. Good morning, Sal.
There is a little improvement there, but there's a new problem in Marin County, or new-ish anyway, southbound 101 near Highway 37. There's a crash, and traffic is going to be slow coming out of northern Marin heading down toward the area, so give yourself plenty of time as this crash is slowing traffic. It's slow after that as well. As you can see, Bay Bridge backed up before the maze. Part of it has to do with that crash in San Francisco. That crash is cleared 101 southbound at Cesar Chavez, but it left a mark, that's for sure. And then we look at the South Bay commute. That's beginning to fill in a little bit. At 7:01, let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Sal. We got so many calls into our newsroom following the latest in a swarm of earthquakes in the East Bay yesterday. Over the past day, we had 10 small quakes happening, centered in San Ramon, but they were felt beyond that. KTVU's Amanda Quintana live in the East Bay to bring us up to date here. Good morning, Amanda. Nope, looks like we don't have... Oh. She might. Okay, why don't we revisit this in a couple minutes here? Just a note, many of you who live in San Ramon and well beyond, I think I've heard from people in Walnut Creek and Concord, Martinez even feeling them. There's small earthquakes, you know, kind of one after the other over the course of a day or so. We'll check back in with Amanda as soon as she's ready.
Well, on to this story. Today, prosecutors will call more witnesses in the trial of a man charged with killing an 84-year-old San Francisco resident. The unprovoked attack 5 years ago drew outrage. During Monday's opening statements, the prosecution showed security video of the suspect, Antoine Watson, slamming Richa Rajapanti to the ground while the senior was out for a walk in the morning on January of 2021. The victim was affectionately known as Grandpa Vicha. He died from his injuries several days later. A police officer responded to the scene, testified he found the victim badly beaten. A photo of the victim was shown to jurors.
Mom and my son miss my dad every day. Still painful. No one should be like my dad. Everyone should be safe on the street. My father, 84 years old, loved to walk on the street.
Watson wore an orange jumpsuit in pretrial hearings, but he wore street clothes during the start of the trial. His family attended the first day, but would not make any comments. In opening statements, his public defender told jurors that Watson had no motive or intent to kill the victim.
Now to San Francisco, there are new details on a plan to save Muni from financial collapse through a proposed tax on homeowners and landlords. If passed next November, a proposed parcel tax would raise nearly $190 million a year to help patch a $300 million budget deficit facing the transit agency. The tax would help prevent drastic cuts to bus and rails. Now, according to the San Francisco Chronicle, policymakers agreed on a structure for the parcel tax. It's a progressive tax split into three groups. Owners of single-family homes under 3,000 square feet would pay pay a flat fee, $129. Larger homes would pay extra for each additional square foot. Landlords of multifamily homes would pay a base fee of $249 for homes smaller than 5,000 square feet. Larger apartments would pay an extra 30 cents for each additional square foot. Owners of commercial buildings would pay $799 up to 5,000 square feet with a tiered rate for additional square feet. The goal here is to ease the burden on middle-class households and small businesses. Let's get back to Amanda here in that swarm of small earthquakes happening in the East Bay and being felt across a large part of that region. She is live in San Ramon here to bring us up to date. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning. Yes, so in the East Bay yesterday, there were a total of 11 earthquakes. One of them was in Piedmont. That was on the Hayward Fault. That one measured a 2.9 magnitude, but then 10 of them all around a neighborhood here in San Ramon. So most of those measured from 2.5 to 3.0, but there was one that was a 3.6. Now those are still considered pretty small to moderate, but since November 9th, the USGS has recorded more than 80 earthquakes in this area. Experts still say this pattern is not unusual along the Calaveras Fault, which runs from San Ramon past Gilroy in the South Bay, then connects with the San Andreas Fault near Hollister. Swarms like the one we're seeing here in San Ramon are not new. They have happened several times since the 1970s, most recently in 2015.
A lot of these earthquakes have been relatively shallow, so people have felt them. So understandably, people are concerned. None of these sequences, none of these swarms as they're being referred to, have led to larger earthquakes. There's a very small percentage of these earthquakes leading to a larger one.
USGS officials say you should always be prepared and know what to do. Have an emergency kit ready and drop, cover, and hold during the shaking. You can also get the Shake Alert app that can give you a few seconds of warning before an earthquake hits. Now, while what we experienced was small, in Japan yesterday they had a powerful 7.6 magnitude quake. It triggered a tsunami and several people there were injured. While news of that large quake might have caused additional fears, experts say small earthquakes being felt here in the Bay Area is just a natural part of living here in this area. Live in San Ramon, Amanda Quintana, KTVU Fox 2 News.
Amanda, thank you. It is 6 minutes after 7. California's new congressional district maps will soon face a challenge in federal court. Next week, a panel of federal judges will hear arguments in a case that claims the new maps illegally favor Latino voters. California voters approved the maps under Proposition 50, a response to Texas redrawing its own maps to give Republicans a boost in Congress. Last week, the Supreme Court allowed Texas to keep its maps after challenges claiming the new maps were racially gerrymandered to suppress voters. The justices said they didn't think the new maps violated the Constitution.
I think it is problematic that the U.S. Supreme Court, in its 6-3 majority, has essentially declined to entertain, in Texas at least, consideration of particularly the Federal Voting Rights Act. They essentially said a political motive can overpower all of those other potential concerns.
The lawsuit against California's map was filed by the California Republican Party. The Trump administration's Justice Department has also joined the lawsuit, even though it did not intervene in the case against Texas. The hearing will begin next Monday.
California's Attorney General Rob Bonta appears to be considering joining a crowded field of Democrats running for governor. AG Bonta reportedly called supporters over the weekend to tell him he's strongly considering running. Speaking in San Francisco yesterday, Bonta said that he has not ruled out a gubernatorial campaign.
I'm grateful for the very robust and strong encouragement I'm getting from many across California to consider entering the race. But as of today, I have not entered the race. And I have nothing to announce.
Among the main candidates, 8 Democrats, 2 Republicans. Early polling has not revealed a frontrunner.
7:08, and I've been looking at the South Bay commute just because it's beginning to get a little bit more crowded. Let's go right to it. You can see some slowing on 101 and 280. I don't see anything unusual there and nothing to be worried about, but I just want to let you know that it is beginning to fire up, so to speak. Let's go from the South Bay to the North Bay and talk about Novato. Southbound 101 at 37, they're clearing an injury crash there, so it's slow, but it's also slow after that as you head down towards the Civic Center. Bay Bridge backed up before the mains, 25 to 30-minute delay. Part of that was helped by a crash in San Francisco, or I should say it was hurt by a crash in San Francisco. That crash has now been cleared, but it's still pretty slow in San Francisco, both directions along 101. 280 is a much better bet. 7:09, let's go back to the desk.
Well, a federal judge strikes down President Trump's executive order blocking wind energy projects. Why the judge said the White House went too far.
Another huge donation to a Northern California public university. This time, UC Merced is set to get millions. Up next, we'll talk to the head of Cal State East Bay in Hayward about how that school plans to make the most out of a $50 million gift.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
(7:12) here are some of the stories we're following this morning. The San Francisco Department of Public Health says it's making changes to improve security at Zuckerberg General Hospital after a social worker was killed on the job there last week. Changes include security wands for staff and better protocols for patients who are considered high risk. The Sheriff's Department will also bring in more deputies. An independent company will review the hospital's safety procedures. A federal judge struck down President Trump's executive order blocking wind energy projects. The judge called the administration's efforts arbitrary and capricious and said they violate U.S. law. President Trump's order was among the first orders he signed at the very start of his second term. Environmentalists accuse President Trump of being hostile to renewable energy projects, particularly offshore wind, while prioritizing fossil fuels to produce electricity. The California State University system seeing its highest year-over-year enrollment growth in a decade. More than 470,000 students are enrolled as of this fall, 2% more than last fall. CSU says this marks the second consecutive year of enrollment gains. The system's rising enrollment comes after 2 years of enrollment declines following the pandemic.
UC Merced just received a donation of $38 million from philanthropist Mackenzie Scott. It's the largest donation the university has ever received and the second from Scott. UC Merced says it plans to use the funding to help make college more accessible and affordable for students, and it will fund research programs and learning experiences. Scott was previously married to Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and has been giving away her wealth to thousands of nonprofits and colleges. The donation to UC Merced comes less than a week after a massive donation to another public Bay Area university. CSU East Bay received a record-breaking $50 million gift from Scott. Joining us live to talk about it is CSU East Bay President Kathy Sandine. Kathy, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure, Andre. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, Kathy, tell us, how did this all come about? I know that Mackenzie Scott's donated to many other CSU schools before, including Northridge, Pomona. But how did it come about here at Hayward?
That organization, Mackenzie Scott's Philanthropic Foundation, works very much in the background. They do their own research. They identify institutions that they feel are worthy, that meet their criteria, and they just call up the recipient and let them know that they have been selected for a wonderful gift.
Wow, fantastic. So in realistic terms here, for students who are thinking about going to this campus, what does the donation mean for them specifically in realistic terms?
Well, we're still working out how we are going to use this wonderful gift of $50 million, the largest in our history by far, but it will go to benefit students. Some of the ideas that we're kicking around is a fund to help employ more students on campus. Jobs on campus are a great way to keep students engaged. Perhaps some funding for travel for students to go to conferences that are important. So we're looking at a lot of different things. We also have a career empowerment center. We would love to scale that up to help more of our students get internships and career jobs.
There has been some loss in the CSU system over the years for students enrolling into college, although that there has been an increase for CSU recently. But how can this money be used to get more students to come back and enroll into college, especially at CSU?
Well, having additional funding to be able to fund marketing and outreach. And then we also have a program where we provide scholarships and grants to our brand new entering students as an incentive for them to enroll with us. So we would be able to expand that program dramatically. So you're right, we can leverage it to get more students at our university.
Kathy, over the years, as we mentioned, there was loss of enrollment. How did that translate into dollar figures in terms of loss for the school over the last few years?
Well, it depends on how far you go back, but approximately in the millions each year, it's lost tuition revenue, so $3 to $4 million each year. But the good news is here at Cal State East Bay, we've turned that trend around, and more students are coming and joining us.
Kathy Sandine, very beautiful gift here from Mackenzie Scott. It's going to help a lot of students and hopefully get more students into school because you can use that money, as you said, toward marketing. Certainly some good news here. Really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Andre. Appreciate the attention.
Of course.
All right, 7:17. Let's swing out to the traffic center. And thankfully, we're not seeing the major BART issue like we had yesterday, Sal. What are you watching on the roads?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, because San Francisco's kind of iffy there, Garcia and Andre. We had that crash on 101. The icon is still up, 101 near Cesar Chavez, but the crash is gone. So just let me get rid of that. But it's still going to be slow on 101, and by that also means it's going to be slow at the Bay Bridge. Oops, I went to the South Bay early. Let me do this first. I want to go to the Bay Bridge. Then we'll talk about the South Bay. The Bay Bridge is backed up all the way into San Francisco. And again, because of that earlier problem we had, that's gone, but it's still kind of having some activity there. This is the South Bay. You can see 85, 87, 101, and 85 are slow. There's nothing really unusual about that. It's just beginning to slow down at this time of the morning. 7:18, let's talk about today's weather. Here's Rosemary.
All right, status quo, the name of our weather game, Sal. We are looking at just a minor warm-up for some as we head into the next few days. Outside of that, the frigid start to the day, the patchy fog out there this morning. Joining us once again, a live look over the Oakland estuary. Little bit of haze out there. As you can see, the sun is now up and shining in some areas. Ridge of high pressure here locked in, keeping the dry weather ongoing for the rest of the week. Areas over the Pacific Northwest getting hammered with a lot of rain. Not for us, unfortunately. We are looking at dry conditions. When will we see the possibility of wet weather return? Right now, it looks like Monday. And the Futurecast model, again, going back to this day after day, showing you that ridge that is parked over the Pacific. It's going to strengthen towards California in the coming days. That will help to lead to our warm-up. Hopefully, a little bit more sunshine for our inland cities. But those storms just continue up and over California until Monday afternoon. Doesn't look like we'll see a whole lot, but hoping this reopens that door to the wet weather. Meanwhile, outside our doors at this hour, dealing with visibility issues in the North Bay. Santa Rosa, a mile for you there. Livermore reporting a 1.25 miles. Through the Delta region, the Carquinez Strait, you're going to find it widespread once again this morning. And temperatures ranging from low to mid to upper 40s across the area. 45 right now, San Francisco, as well as in the North Bay of Nevada. For the inner East Bay, 42 in Walnut Creek. A chilly one in Santa Rosa this morning. By about noontime, upper 40s, upper 50s expected for the second half of the day with partly sunny conditions. On the peninsula for the afternoon, 61 in San Mateo. For the inner East Bay, mid to upper 50s from Concord into the Livermore area. Your extended forecast. Temperatures come up a little bit more on Wednesday, hold steady on Thursday, Friday, Saturday into the weekend. Temperatures range from upper 50s to low 60s with dry conditions. Andre Garcia.
Rosemary, thank you. Time here is 7:20. We'll dig into some new research that's meant to help California's struggling farmers. The emerging technology that could mean farmers will be able to better grow and protect their crops.
A new trend is frustrating Instagram users. Why a change to the app's design is leading to some awkward moments.
The prettiest of pictures. Take a look at your screen. An orange cast to this morning's sunrise over the Oakland Alameda estuary. Still waters, a bird flew right by. If you haven't taken a look out your window, we're giving you a look out our back window here. We will keep an eye on what's happening in Bay Area weather as we continue to hope for rain. It's been a couple dry weeks. Let's see if that's going to change. We'll check in with Rosemary in a minute. Now to the peninsula, where daily city leaders have voted to strengthen renter protections. The city council approved a policy resolution in support of housing stability and tenant protections. Members say the vote is meant to affirm a commitment to housing stability. It directs staff to continue studying a potential tenant anti-harassment ordinance, which would include enforcement powers. While the move is largely symbolic, leaders say it's the first step toward helping renters who've urged the city to take action.
We had no laundry access, no heater.
As you can see, there's like little fungi growing out of like carpets.
What this resolution does is that it helps provide some language and some support from our council members to show that we're on their side.
Last night's vote only approves a policy resolution, not a tenant protection ordinance. The mayor says he intends to work toward crafting an ordinance in the future.
It is 6 minutes away from 7:30. Thieves broke into a Bay Area veterinary hospital over the weekend, but when they didn't find any money, they took something that's irreplaceable. The thieves stole the ashes of pets that had just arrived from the mortuary. It happened at the Central Boulevard Veterinary Hospital in Brentwood. The ashes belonged to 3 different dogs. Customers are heartbroken for those families.
It's like, what are you going to do with those? And I feel for the pet parents. Yeah. Because this is my 3rd dog. So I know how I would feel. And so my heart goes out to them.
It would have most likely been these types.
Some of the small wood urns have pictures and plaques engraved with the name of the dogs: Hunter, a lab; Scout, a Chihuahua; and Rusty, a Mastiff. Workers hope they'll be returned. The hospital says it will now keep the urns locked up.
College students in Florida are using artificial intelligence to help farmers in California optimize their crops and protect them from pests. One graduate student developed an AI computer vision model to spot destructive navel orange worm eggs, which damage crops including California pistachios. This technology allows for precise pesticide application, reducing chemical use and increasing efficiency.
If growers are able to track the development of the bugs in the orchards that given season and kind of narrow down when they think that the pests will hatch, then they can spray pesticides far less just around that window.
The Department of Agriculture is giving the school a $162,000 federal grant to expand the work and allow more students to develop similar projects.
A new effort to try and assist the struggling wine industry in the North Bay and beyond. What some lawmakers want to do to help them to weather the trade war.
2 people arrested in connection to that mass shooting at a toddler's birthday party in Stockton are tied to the Northern California rap scene. How the law looks at a possible tie between violent lyrics and whether they're real-life actions. We'll examine the balance of free speech and fighting crime.
Change is coming to San Francisco General Hospital following the recent killing of a worker on the job. What the city is promising as a suspect in the stabbing is expected in court today. And more companies are asking the federal government to refund them for costs related to President Trump's tariffs. Why a decision by the Supreme Court could make getting that money back easier.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
7:30, welcome to Mornings on 2. I'm Andre Sr.
Good morning. I'm Gassia Mikaelian. It is Tuesday, December 9th. Still no rain, but I have to say, given this past week of weather, some of us are getting very good driving in the fog. I have two young sons, not yet driving, and I was with one, and he said, you know, Rosemary's like, well, why don't you just turn the brights on so you can see? And I did, and it was a wall of white.
The myth persists.
Yes.
Said, all right, turn it back.
Yeah.
Low beams, please. Yes. We've got the fog once again this morning, guys, and pockets of dense fog out there. And CHP always reminds, don't panic. Just ease your foot off the gas because it comes at you with little to no warning. How about a view up above the cloud cover this morning? You can see from Monument Peak, beautiful sky. The sun is up and shining. You can also see all that cloud cover on the lower edge. We will have the clouds part a little bit later this morning, hoping for more sunshine. At least that's what the models are showing us. And with that, temperatures are expected to come up just a little bit, give us a little bit more clearing into the afternoon for our inland cities that have been stuck in the gray. For the second part of the day, low 50s to low 60s. A better look at the current conditions and what we can expect for today as well as the rest of the week coming up in just a little bit at 7:31. Let's get on to the highways with Sal. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Rosemary. Right now, we do have some slow traffic in the East Bay, as you might imagine. Highway 4, 680, 24. 680 is slow right at 242 to 24. Westbound 4 is slow from Railroad over to Willow Pass. Those are very normal-looking delays. Southbound 101, we're still clearing a crash at 37. The remnants of it are on the shoulder, but it's causing slowing in traffic. It's slow after that to the Civic Center. And I do want to mention that the Bay Bridge is backed up all the way out beyond the maze. At 7:32, let's get back to the headlines.
Thank you so much, Sal. San Francisco's Department of Public Health wants to improve security at Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital. That's after a patient stabbed and killed a social worker inside a hospital ward. KTVU's James Torres is live in San Francisco with the changes and the court hearing expected today. James?
Andre, public health officials in San Francisco hired an independent firm to launch an investigation into some of the security measures and protocols, not just here at the hospital, but at all DPH facilities as well. They say that's after the hospital fell short in protecting one of its victims, and they want to make sure that never happens again. The district attorney's office is now charging Wilfredo Tortolero Arieci with murder. They say he spoke with the doctor with a calm demeanor within one of the wards inside the hospital, all while hiding a knife. The victim, Alberto Rangel, a social worker, then walked the suspect to a nearby elevator. Police say Tortolero Arieci then grabbed Rangel and stabbed him. He later died. Now the leaders that oversee the hospital say security needs to be better. Some of those immediate changes include expediting the installation weapons detection systems, increasing the number of security guards, adding security wanding, and they say they will also be strengthening or adjusting security protocols when a patient is identified as high risk. District Attorney Brooke Jenkins says the case is heartbreaking and says it should never happen again.
We have to make sure as law enforcement that we do the utmost to protect everybody who works in healthcare and those who are trying to serve the people who need the most help in our city. Each and every day they come to work to take care of others, and it's our obligation to take care of them.
According to court documents, Rangel brought up concerns about Tortolero Arieci to hospital staff. The independent review will look at all security measures, staffing, and it'll consider any necessary changes, not just at SF General, but at all DPH facilities as well. In the meantime, that suspect will face a judge this afternoon as he learns his new charges, while a small makeshift memorial continues to grow outside the hospital campus. Local advocates here say that they plan to hold some sort of vigil every evening this week. We're live this morning in San Francisco. I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Big changes coming on the way for that hospital. James, thank you.
Let's go now to our Dave Clark in the newsroom here. Dave, you're tracking more news in the Bay Area and beyond. Good morning.
Yes, Garcia and Andrea, yes. The Supreme Court's expected to consider a push by Republicans to erase the limits on how much political parties can spend in coordination with political candidates. The court is revisiting a 2001 decision, one that restricts coordinated party spending to $63,000 per House race, and a sliding scale for Senate seats, capping it at $4 million per race in California. President Trump and the Republicans want the Supreme Court to remove those limits. Democrats say that would allow donors to get around political donation limits to candidates by donating to political parties instead. Well, new this morning, Ukrainian President Zelensky met with Pope Leo at a Vatican retreat. They stood at a terrace right outside of Rome and waved to the crowd. President Zelensky is meeting this week with European leaders. He wants support in the battle against Russia. The meeting over the weekend with U.S. negotiators, met yesterday. After that, he met yesterday with British, French, and German leaders before today's visit with Italian officials. And several West Coast lawmakers are coming together to help the struggling U.S. wine industry. Congressman Mike Thompson of the North Bay and Dan Newhouse of Washington State, they're leading a specialty crop and wine producer tariff relief act. The two co-chair the Congressional Wine Caucus. Supporters say the bill would give direct support to help producers stay competitive during the rising costs and the continuing trade war.
Agriculture should get some relief for these trade wars that have been started, unprovoked trade wars, I might add, that have been started, and the wine and vintner community need to be part of that.
Now, the bill would give direct payments to grape growers and wine producers, as well as to specialty crops farmers, including the growers of almonds and olives. There you have it. I'm Dave Clark in the KTVU newsroom. Now let's go back to our desk.
All right, Dave, thank you so much. Let's get now over to Sal in the traffic center with an update on what's happening on the roads.
All right, Andre and Garcia, good morning to you both. Let's start with the East Bay, Highway 4 westbound. You will see slowing, and also on 680, and some 680 traffic is slow into Alamo. Marin County still dealing with that earlier problem on Highway 37 that's been cleared to the shoulder. And getting into Marin on the Richmond Bridge, that's moderately heavy. 80 westbound is okay, although it is slowing down approaching the maze. And at the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, we are backed up to the maze. 7:37, let's talk about today's weather. Here's Rosemary.
Okay, Sal, good morning to you. We are off to a foggy, frigid start once again. And as we get into the afternoon, a minor warm-up that will continue into the business week. I'll have a look at those numbers for you coming up in a little bit. Let's focus on the here and now. A live look from Monument Peak up above the cloud cover. And it is a beautiful start to the day for many. Now, many of us stuck under the gray, and the visibility is still a low one in the North Bay. Petaluma, half-mile reported there. Santa Rosa reported 3/4. As we shift our eyes to the East Bay, Livermore reporting a mile and a quarter there. Through the Delta, the Carquina Strait, it's going to be a little bit more widespread, but wow, it is thick once again in many spots. Hoping for some additional sunshine today, and that our temperatures will be coming up a little bit. 41 degrees in the North Bay, Santa Rosa right now, 42 in Walnut Creek. Oakland and San Francisco, low to mid-40s for you there. Afternoon highs for today, mid to upper 50s for our inland communities, which is still cool, but been struggling in the upper 40s to low 50s with all that cloud cover out there. 59 the afternoon high, San Francisco. The peninsula, you're looking good. Redwood City at 63. Temperatures will come up a little bit more Wednesday into Thursday. We will be dry through the weekend, but the possibility of wet weather is out there. I'll have a look at that extended forecast coming up.
Thank you, Rosemary. A San Francisco couple threw a party for their 13-year-old golden doodle this weekend. They called it a bark mitzvah, obviously a play on words for the traditional Jewish celebration that marks a young person's transition to religious adulthood.
Yeah, we'll show you more of this on the 9. But for now, we want to hear from you. This morning, you're asking, how far would you go to celebrate your pet? And here are your options. Full-on party. The other is special treat or outing, or just extra cuddles. And right now, 50% of you say special treatment or outing. 40% say just extra cuddles. 10% say full-on party. Just go to KTVU.com/vote. Let us know what you think about our question of the day.
Have you been to a pet party?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I've seen them though.
Would you throw a pet party?
No, I don't.
Even
think
as much as you love your pup.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what's going on. My dog, I could just take him to the dog park and he's
Right,
happy,
right.
You know,
Every day's his birthday,
every day
yeah.
is his birthday, so I don't think he would know what, you know.
All right.
That's just reserved for humans, I think, because
Okay.
they understand it.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. As we see those numbers change, we appreciate your weighing in. How far would you go to celebrate your pet? Taking a quick break here on Mornings on 2. We'll be back. $7:43 here. As the Supreme Court could rule as early as this month whether President Trump's tariffs are invalid, more heads of American businesses say they're planning to ask the federal government for a refund on any of their tariff-related costs. Let's get some insight by turning, as we often do, to UC Berkeley professor of political science, Vinod Agrawal. Thanks for being with us, Professor.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, if the justices find the president did exceed his authority by imposing the import taxes, companies could be entitled to refunds. Do the businesses have a case?
Yes, I think they have a very strong case, and I think it's important to understand what this law is. In the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the idea was actually to control the president from excessively using his powers, and it goes back to 1917 when we had the Trading with the Enemy Act, and presidents could essentially do anything by calling any country an enemy. And in 1977, this law was passed to control people like Nixon and other presidents who had been willy-nilly using this act, and there's no evidence that the act was ever intended to allow presidents to use tariffs. So I think the Supreme Court is likely to rule against the president in this case.
So I imagine small businesses here don't have the muscle as much as like a Costco does. Do we even know what a court-ordered refund might look like?
Well, it's never been done before, as far as I know, so it would be rather complicated. But it would be basically, Costco, of course, is the leader because it has the money to file a lawsuit, and then they will start giving money back because of the tariffs to each of the companies. Now, if you didn't file, I think that's a problem, and so I think a lot of small companies will be complaining that they were left out of this. And so I think President Trump is in a bit of a quandary, having used a law which he should not have used. He should have used the laws which he has already used if he wanted to do this. There is Section 201, which is about dumping and unfair competition. There's Section 232 for national security. There's 301, and he's used all of these. But the reason he didn't want to use these is because they are subject to review, or they have to go through the International Trade Commission, or they have to go through the United States Trade Representative's office. So he thought that this would be a good way to allow him to do whatever he wanted. And I think that's going to be a problem because a lot of small companies will be complaining.
President Trump has said that a loss at the Supreme Court on this would be catastrophic. What would a decision against him do to his overall economic policy?
I mean, what catastrophe is he talking about? This doesn't make any sense at all. There's no catastrophe. It's a catastrophe for him asserting his powers. It's not a catastrophe for the American economy, which is not doing particularly well because of tariffs. If we really want to go after China, as I've said in in these newscasts many times, you get together with your allies and go after China. So when he's overusing these words, which don't mean anything catastrophic for his economic, nothing's going to happen. It's simply that tariffs will be returned, and then we'll have to use some proper laws to go after terrorists. This is just simply trying to assert too much presidential power.
We're in the second week of December. Looking ahead, do you think we get a decision before the end of the month?
I can't predict Supreme Court rulings, and I don't think anybody else can. I would think at the end of the month or early January. But I think we have to remember that if President Trump is intent on restricting imports, which he obviously is, he will start turning to these other laws which we have on the books, except that they will have to be subject to further review by various agencies. So I think that's what's going to happen. And I don't think he's just going to give up on using tariffs.
All right, Professor Agarwal from UC Berkeley, that's the time we have for the issue. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. All right, if you have been to San Francisco's Union Square recently after a bit of a break, you have likely seen some big changes. Our Pam Cook follows the money trail. She's here in dollars and cents.
It is really great to see. If you haven't been in there, money is flowing into San Francisco, and it's vacant to vibrant programs. San Francisco's Downtown Development Corporation told CNBC it has more than $60 million in commitments from individual and big corporate donors, including Google and OpenAI. But you can see that vacant to vibrant, those signs in the windows of many new pop-up shops and permanent stores and restaurants. Certainly a big turnaround in San Francisco. We like to see that. As the opening bell rang this morning, more information coming in about that hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers. If Warner Brothers shareholders go with Paramount, it will likely have to pay Netflix billions in deal breakup fees. However, if the government rules against the Netflix deal, which the Trump administration has hinted about, Netflix could be forced to pay billions. That's 21 Bitcoin Corporation company, Bitcoin Capital Company, celebrating its IPO as we take a live look at the numbers. Started lower, but up across the board now. Live look at the Dow Jones up about 0.25%. The S&P 500 up a little bit as well. The NASDAQ just turned positive. President Trump is reversing course and giving NVIDIA the green light to sell highly advanced computer chips to China. Under the new terms, the U.S. government will collect a 25% tariff on approved chip sales. Now, the sale of these chips, which are critical for AI industry development, were blocked by the Trump administration due to concerns about national security. So now reversing course on that. TikTok is now introducing a new feature to keep up with the competition. TikTok is launching a shared feed where friends and family can watch and share videos. The feed will be located in the DMs tab. TikTok says the new feature will be rolled out globally in the coming months. This does come after Instagram introduced its Blend feature, where users can create a custom feed with friends and family, again, in that direct message section. I'm Pam Cook. That's a look at your dollars and cents.
Pam, thank you. A new layout on Instagram as some users accidentally reposting when they don't really mean to. Instagram put that new repost button right where our fingers often touch the screen as we are holding the phone. Users are accidentally reposting without having a chance to consider if they really want to share something. Experts say that Meta's just fine with that because it does count as activity on its platform.
They don't care. There's so many people on these platforms. It's all about advertising dollars. So I'm certain that the change just has to do with nudging creators to create more reels, to create content that's more targeted to forward to friends.
The layout change mimics TikTok's design and is meant to increase engagement on Instagram by putting more focus on Reels and DMs. The change comes as TikTok is outperforming Instagram at marketing and advertising. So I've done it. If it helps, you can unrepost on Insta by going to your profile, tapping the repost tab, then tapping the repost icon, those kind of arrows in a square again, and you will have undone what you did not mean to do in the first place. All right, 7:49, let's get out the door. South Castaneda monitoring a fairly robust morning commute.
That's right, and we do have a bigger backup here at the toll plaza of the Bay Bridge. Part of that is because we had a crash in San Francisco that lasted for a long time and eventually cleared, but it left its mark. On the East Shore Freeway, it's also pretty heavy from Richmond all the way down to Oakland, and on the Richmond Bridge, we can see some slow traffic there. I want to talk about Marin because we still have that earlier crash on southbound 101 near 37. It's on the shoulder, or at least there's something on the shoulder. There's slow traffic there, and after you get past the Civic Center, it is much better. 7:50, let's talk about today's weather. Here's Rosemary.
All right, Sal, thank you very much. Happy Tuesday to all of you. We are once again with the foggy conditions, the chilly temperatures, getting into the afternoon, a little bit more sunshine in the forecast, and temperatures are expected to rise by a few degrees. A view here up above the clouds at Mount Diablo. We've got mostly clear skies there at the top. The forecast remains status quo in the way of this ridge parked over us, not allowing any storms to break through. Pacific Northwest continues with days of rain. In fact, they're getting a little bit too much rain with flooding in the forecast for Washington, Oregon. For us, the ridge remains intact. In fact, it's going to strengthen our direction just a little bit in the coming days, and that will help to lead to the warmer weather. Not a huge, robust warm-up, but a minor one coming. And then through the weekend, we remain dry. Right now, our first opportunity at rain is right there. The timestamp, Monday afternoon. This could change up just a little bit, but we are looking forward to that possibility of the pattern changing and wet weather returning. Outside right now, we do have Santa Rosa reporting less than a mile visibility. Novato improved a little bit at 5, but is fluctuating. Livermore, the inner East Bay, about 1.25 miles. It's been kind of stuck there all morning long. Our temperatures very, very cool and not budging just yet. 45 right now in San Francisco. Our inner East Bay of Santa Rosa, 41. We have 43 in Novato and 42 Sebastopol. How about the peninsula? 44 in Redwood City, and for the inner East Bay, 39 in Castro Valley. Afternoon highs for today, mid-50s to low 60s for most of us. And in the extended forecast, a tad warmer tomorrow, hold steady on Thursday. Not much change, perhaps a little bit cooler as we head into the weekend. Andre?
Rosemary, thank you much. 7:52 is the time. A surprising upside to pandemic school reopenings. Next at 8, what a new study reveals about mental health and classrooms. The 49ers back on the practice field following a much-needed bye week. What the team is doing to prepare for the final stretch of the season and help make sure people in need stay warm this winter by contributing to KTVU's annual One Warm Coat Drive. You can donate a new or gently worn coat by scanning the QR code on your screen or head to KTVU.com for a list of participating drop-off locations. The One Warm Coat Drive runs until December 14th. We'll be right back. Authorities investigating the Stockton mass shooting are set to update the public this morning. 4 people were shot and killed at a child's birthday party last month. So far, police have not released information about the suspects or any arrests that they have made. However, 2 men who attended the party have been arrested for parole violations. They are not considered suspects to the actual shooting. Both have criminal histories, including arrests for gun violence. They are also both a part of the Stockton rap music scene, something investigators are trying to piece together to see if those connections may have contributed to the violence.
The music is where that multiplies, gets a lot of views, a lot of traction, and then it just elicits a response from the people that they're speaking about.
Can be used, but for very specific purposes, again, to demonstrate intent in particular, but also, in other words, that really the lyric should speak directly to that crime as opposed to crime generically, for example.
4 people were killed and 11 others were shot and wounded at the party. Those who were killed include children ages 8, 9, and 14. Detectives suspect they may have been multiple shooters. The San Francisco Fire and Police Department recently got into the boxing ring in the Sunset District for a good cause. The chiefs of each department put it all on the line with a wager. Now, if fire won, the police brass would be polishing brass, cleaning one of the department's trucks. But those firefighters at Station House 4 did not get the victory. The police department came out on top, and so it was time to deliver on the bet pay up with a home-cooked meal, including crab, as the main dish.
And good fun, you know, good camaraderie. We know camaraderie well in this job, you know, and so being able to have cooperative relationships with the police department is also important. And so it's a bummer that we lost this year. Hopefully we win next year.
This was the second year both departments have faced off. SFPD is 2 for 2. Police and fire department leaders say the real winners are the San Franciscans that will benefit from the money raised and donated to the SFPOA Community Service Fund. The money will help improve safety and quality of life in the city. The San Francisco 49ers returned to practice following a bye week. The Niners got a much-needed break after playing games in 13 consecutive weeks. San Francisco's very much in the mix for a playoff spot with just 4 games left. On Sunday, the 49ers will host one of the worst teams in the league, the Tennessee Titans.
We got back going, getting our bodies back going was really good. So just using the days, you know, practicing and then going into this game. Like you said, not taking no teams lightly. You know, we look at every team as, you know, qualified to win. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we go about it, and it's going to be fun. You know, they got a good first-round quarterback. You know, Cam Ward and what he does. The defense is solid. So just got to come in, not take them lightly, and do what we're supposed to do.
Right now, the 49ers have a chance to win the NFC West. The LA Rams and Seattle Seahawks each have 10 wins. Niners right behind them with 9. This season, there is a much different vibe compared to December of last year.
Last year, I think the last 2 or 3 games we weren't playing for any playoff hopes or anything. I think we're out of it. But this year, you know, being 9-4, it's just a lot better coming into work every day knowing like we can make a push for the Super Bowl and the playoffs. Like, I've never been in the playoffs before, so like, you know, I'm excited. But we got to make a strong surge the next 4 weeks.
Sunday's kickoff is set for 1:25, and you can watch the game right here on KTVU, Fox 2.
A swarm of earthquakes keeping some East Bay residents on alert this morning. Why scientists say what's happening in cities including San Ramon is not uncommon. President Trump's low approval rating could be boosting Governor Newsom. It's not the only sentiment helping California's top leader. We'll get some expert analysis on what a new survey means for Democratic momentum heading into 2026. Then reopening classrooms after the pandemic didn't just boost learning. What a new study reveals about a child's mental health, especially when it comes to girls.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Welcome to Mornings on 2 at 8 o'clock. As you look live this morning at the fog that we have been dealing with today. Yes, it's that time of the year. Not only is the fog here, but we also have that cold weather that is trapping in to the Bay Area. We're going to get an update in just a moment, but first, thanks for joining us. I'm Andre Sr.
I'm Gaskia Mikaelian. It is Tuesday, December 9th. Not a lot of sun behind us along the Oakland Alameda estuary, but the fog isn't centered on the coast, is it, Rosemary?
No, it's in our valleys once again. Good morning to both of you, and we are braving the big chill once again with temperatures in the 40s. A live look here up above the cloud cover and a view of Mount Diablo at this time. Let's check in on some of that fog out there. Areas like Livermore reporting half mile. In the North Bay, Petaluma, quarter mile. Santa Rosa, 3/4 of a mile. And the temps on the chilly side for the inner East Bay. We've got 40 degrees right now in Livermore. For San Francisco, 45, and Napa outside your door, 42. Afternoon highs are expected to come up just a little bit today. A better look at those numbers and what we can expect for the rest of the week in just a little bit at 8:01. Let's see if the highways are improving with Sal. Good morning.
Some things are improving, Rosemary. Right now, southbound 101 is a little better if you're driving through Novato. We had an earlier crash there. As across the bay, 80 has improved a little bit. It's slow from San Pablo, pretty solid, though, down to the Oakland area. When you get to the Bay Bridge, it is still very crowded. It's backed up to the Mesa, though I do see improvement here as well. It's 8:01. Let's get back to the headlines.
All right. Are you among the many who felt one of the earthquakes in the East Bay yesterday?
Yeah, over the last day or so, 10 small ones have happened in San Ramon. That's where we find KTVU's Amanda Quintana with more on the story. Amanda, good morning.
Good morning. Well, in the East Bay yesterday, there were actually 11 earthquakes. One of them was in Piedmont. That one measured at a 2.9 magnitude right there along the Hayward Fault. 10 of them here in San Ramon, and all centered around this neighborhood that I'm in. Now, most of those, they measured a 2.5 to a 3.0, but there was one that was bigger. That was a 3.6. Now, that's still considered pretty small to moderate, but since November 9th, the USGS has recorded more than 80 earthquakes in this area. But experts say this pattern is not unusual along the Calaveras Fault, which runs from near San Ramon past Gilroy in the South Bay, then connects with the San Andreas Fault near Hollister. Swarms like the one that we're seeing here in San Ramon are not new. They've happened several times since the 1970s, most recently in 2015.
A lot of these earthquakes have been relatively shallow, so people have felt them. So understandably, people are concerned. None of these sequences, none of these swarms, as they're being referred to, have led to larger earthquakes. There's a very small percentage of these earthquakes leading to a larger one.
I was not expecting it to just keep going throughout the day. Like, usually we get one, and that's it for the day, maybe a couple like aftershocks or something, but like 10 throughout the whole day was definitely a difference.
USGS officials say you should always be prepared and know what to do. Have an emergency kit ready and drop, cover, and hold during the shaking. You can also get the Shake Alert app that can give you a few seconds of warning before an earthquake hits. While what we experienced was small, in Japan yesterday, they had a powerful 7.6 magnitude quake. It triggered a tsunami and several people were injured there. News of that large quake might have added some additional fears to people who might have felt the shaking here. But again, experts are saying this is just a natural part of living in the Bay Area to feel those small quakes. Live in San Ramon, Amanda Quintana, KTVU Fox 2 News.
Amanda, thank you. Time is 8:04 now. A new survey shows that anti-President Trump sentiment is helping to boost voters' views of Governor Newsom in the Democratic state legislature. The Public Policy Institute of California is a nonprofit independent research firm based in San Francisco. Its poll shows the governor and Democratic lawmakers have a favorable approval rating after the passage of Prop 50, the statewide initiative that drew a new congressional map to add more Democratic seats and offset Republican redistricting gains in Texas.
What this PPIC survey shows us is that voters really are in a place where they are somewhat fickle. This is the traditional kind of Jekyll and Hyde California voter. They're worried about the future. They may temporarily approve of some politicians, but what it does is it highlights the theme of change and whether candidates represent change.
The poll finds 25% of Californians approve of President Trump's job performance. The survey also finds voters, especially Democrats, are concerned about political extremism or threats to democracy.
UC Merced just received a donation of $38 million from philanthropist Mackenzie Scott. It's the largest donation the university has ever received and the second from Scott. UC Merced says it plans to use the funding to help make college more accessible and affordable for students, and it will fund research programs and learning experiences. Scott was previously married to Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and has been giving away her wealth to thousands of nonprofits and colleges. Another public Bay Area university also received a major donation from Scott as well. CSU East Bay received a record-breaking $50 million gift from Scott. President Kathy Sandine says Scott's philanthropic foundation does its own research to select which schools would benefit from the funding the most. Sandine says leaders are still deciding how to use that money.
Some of the ideas that we're kicking around is a fund to help employ more students on campus. Jobs on campus are a great way to keep students engaged. Perhaps some funding for travel for students to go to conferences that are important. So we're looking at a lot of different things. We also have a career empowerment center. We would love to scale that up to help more of our students get internships and career jobs.
The money may also go to giving more students grants for attending CSU East Bay and help fill any gaps from losing tuition revenue from the last couple of years.
A new study confirms what many parents already know, that a return to in-person learning during the COVID pandemic provided significant benefits to children's mental health. Researchers found prolonged school closures and remote learning worsened social isolation, anxiety, and depression in many young people. Studies showed school campuses provide essential mental health support, reliable nutrition, and crucial social interaction that was lost during remote learning.
Time is 8:07. Right now we do have a bigger backup at the Bay Bridge, but it's not untenable. You can see the traffic on the bridge is getting better. We had an earlier crash in San Francisco that was somewhat to blame for some of that, and we're still looking at San Francisco and checking it out. Things are a little better. I would say 280 is better than 101, but now we're looking more like a normal-ish commute here in San Francisco, where the crash at Cesar Chavez has been cleared away. We're also looking at the South Bay commute. That's filled in, although we don't have a lot going on in the way of crashes. A lot of people are heading to that West Valley. It's 8:07. Let's go back to the desk.
All right, thank you, Sal. From sanctuary to compliance, how Bay Area sheriffs are responding to federal pressure as we hear from immigrant advocates holding a rally this morning demanding no ICE collaboration.
And as we're all watching prices at the grocery store very carefully, we have a new look at Instacart purchases that shows some people are paying more or less for the same item you're buying. How the company defends the discrepancy. Top stories we're following for you here. The San Francisco Department of Public Health says it's making changes to improve security at Zuckerberg General Hospital after a social worker was killed on the job last week. The changes include security wands for staff and better protocols for patients who are considered high risk. The Sheriff's Department will also bring in more deputies, and an independent company will review the hospital's safety procedures. A federal judge struck down President Trump's executive order blocking wind energy projects. The judge called the administration's efforts arbitrary and capricious and said they violate U.S. law. California was among the Democratic-led states challenging the president's order, which was among the first orders he signed once he took the Oval Office again at the beginning of his second term. Environmentalists accuse the president of being hostile to renewable energy projects, particularly offshore wind, while prioritizing fossil fuels to produce electricity.
Well, a growing flashpoint in California is what some consider the blurred line between what local law enforcement can and cannot legally do when federal immigration agents come knocking. Earlier this year, the Justice Department demanded California counties hand over lists of every non-citizen in their jails, escalating a fair showdown over the state's sanctuary laws. During a KTVU roundtable, we asked sheriffs in San Francisco, Alameda, and Santa Clara counties about how they are handling such demands.
Sheriff is the only office that can actually interact with ICE and provide information under specific types of circumstances with people in our custody and care. That's if they have a history of serious or violent felonies prescribed over time. If they're held to answer on a current felony charge that's listed, and it's usually a serious or violent felony that's involved there. If they have those parameters, we have the ability to respond.
There's going to be a list of the individuals being released that day.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's available for any member of the public.
Gotcha.
And so they will come in, and they'll, just like if it was your brother or sister or somebody else looking for somebody, they can come in and look at that list and verify, okay, this person's being released, and they can choose to wait there as long as they want in that public lobby.
Sheriff Sanchez, is there anything you can do to stop them as sheriff, though, stop ICE from taking that person that you've just released?
No, I mean, you're basically asking for law enforcement to intervene and stop another law enforcement agency from doing their work, which is obstruction of justice.
Another agency facing mounting pressure to avoid any collaboration with ICE enforcement is Sonoma County's Sheriff's Office, and we just received a statement from the Sheriff's Office describing when they can respond to ICE, and they tell us it only happens for a person who has been convicted of a violent felony, and they also tell us they are required by law to post when an inmate is being released. The immigrant communities in the North Bay are holding a rally outside the Sonoma County Sheriff's main office. For more on their demands, we're joined by Renee Salcedo, community organizer for Raíces Collective and Sonoma County Sanctuary Coalition. Renee, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
So, Renee, tell us what you all have planned today outside the Sonoma County Sheriff's main office.
Yes, the Sonoma County Sanctuary Coalition, which consists of hundreds of individuals and dozens of organizations, including congregations, labor unions, nonprofits, and service providers, will hold a peaceful demonstration in front of the Sonoma County Sheriff's today, which will include speakers and music and solidarity statements from individuals coming in from outside counties that already have sanctuary laws to say why these laws benefit communities.
Okay, so in Sonoma County right now, what do you want the sheriff to do? I know you're pushing for something called the non-collaboration with ICE or sanctuary ordinance. What is that? And are lawmakers in the county putting that forth to be considered?
It's very simple what the community wants. We want the county to stop sharing information with ICE. More specifically, we want the sheriff to stop sharing release dates from the county jail. He has no legal obligation to do that. So he should join many other counties in our region and throughout the country to send a message to communities who right now are terrified because of the repression against migrants. They're terrified to send their kids to school, to even leave their homes. And so the county should make a statement and say, we stand with you, migrant communities, no matter what your status is. We don't want you to feel terrified. We don't want to contribute to you being terrified. We stand with you, and we will not provide any information to ICE because it is not legally required for counties to do so.
Okay, so Renee, we reached out to the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office. It says it does not participate in immigration enforcement or sweeps. It does not honor ICE holds or detainees, nor does the office proactively contact ICE. The office only allows ICE agents in the county jail to make an arrest. And the sheriff says he does not participate in any ICE enforcement around the county. So what's your response to that if they are saying that they comply with what is on the books right now legally?
Well, despite all that, this year alone, we have the statistics. Almost 60 people were reported to ICE by the sheriff, and this is by their own statistics. That is 60 people who have served their sentences like any other person going through the criminal justice system, but who received the additional penalty of being reported to ICE and potentially deported and separated from their families and their futures. We think that this causes a very devastating impact on immigrant communities because they can't trust the sheriff, they don't trust local law enforcement. And this puts everyone in an unsafe situation because if you have entire communities not wanting to serve as witnesses or report crimes for fear that county employees, including the sheriff, could report them to ICE, then we have an unsafe situation. So we want to do away with that. We need Sonoma County to state very clearly, we will not participate in the deportation machine. We will not assist Trump in having people deported. And legally, we can do that through a non-collaboration ordinance, which says that the sheriff may not provide any information, including release dates.
All right, Renee Salcedo, community organizer with the Raíces Collective and Sonoma County Sanctuary Coalition. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, it's 8:18, and I'm focusing this report on the South Bay. At least we're starting there because a lot of the freeways are very crowded, especially I've noticed getting to the airport. Now, there was a crash nearby on 101 near 880, but that has affected northbound 880. So don't let this mess up your flight to, out of San Jose International. Usually it's not quite that slow. And that's the last surprise you need. Missing a flight is terrible in case that's ever happened to you. This is a look now at the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. That's backed up to about the MacArthur Maze. Metering lights are on. Nothing major there. San Francisco has had a tough morning. We had some earlier problems there. 280 and 101 are very slow getting into San Francisco. 8:19 now. Let's go back to the weather.
All right, Sal, I have a fabulous view of Mount Diablo this morning. The blue skies up above the low clouds. That low cloud deck there looks like a pillow. From the surface, though, it's plenty of gray around the bay. Storm Tracker 2 here, ridge of high pressure. Not going anywhere anytime soon. It is going to strengthen in our direction in the coming days. That is going to bring our temperatures up and hopefully provide more sunshine for the folks that have been stuck in the gray day after day. In the North Bay, lots of gray. We've got Santa Rosa reporting quarter-mile visibility. Novato about 3. The Inner East Bay, Livermore, you're at half-mile. The Delta region, the Carquinez Strait, we're seeing it widespread once again this morning. And at this hour, temperatures struggling to warm. 46 right now in San Francisco, 42 in Walnut Creek, in the South Bay, 45 outside your door, San Jose. Let's go to the Inner East Bay, where it is a chilly one. Lafayette and Alamo, 41 there. Castro Valley, 39. Getting into the afternoon, upper 50s to low 60s around the bay, mid to upper 50s for our inland cities. And again, the forecast calling for more sunshine into the afternoon. Let's hope those models come true. The extended forecast here, temperatures bump up just a little bit more Wednesday, hold steady on Thursday. Drop slightly Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Dry weather in the forecast. Our next opportunity at rain right now, guys, looks to be Monday. Back to you.
It's a long ways out. Thank you, Rosemary. 8:20 here. Once booming e-bike brands being pushed to the brink by some U.S. manufacturers say tariffs meant to protect them are doing the opposite.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
New research shows price fluctuations on Instacart. A study tested grocery prices at 4 cities across the country using nearly 200 volunteers. The Instacart users bought the same items from the same store at the same time. Some paid more than 20% more than the others. An Instacart spokeswoman says stores on its platform set their own prices and test those prices to understand consumer preferences. The study was conducted by Groundwork Collaborative, Consumer Reports, and More Perfect Union. We have to note here, many chain stores vary their prices based on location due to market factors, overhead costs, and other issues.
8:24 is your time. Some of the e-bike companies are struggling and blaming President Trump.
Pam Cook back with details on that and some good news about San Francisco's financial picture. I'll meet you in Union Square, Pam.
Yes.
Dollars and cents.
It was packed this weekend. Packed.
Packed this weekend.
It took forever to get to where I was going because
Oh
there were
my
so many people in
gosh.
Union Square this weekend.
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
If you haven't been to Union Square, give it a shot because it is back to how its glory days. Money flowing into San Francisco and its vacant to vibrant programs. San Francisco's Downtown Development Corporation told CNBC it has more than $60 million in commitments from individual and big corporate donors, including Google and OpenAI. But you can see those changes already. Vacant to vibrant, those signs are in the windows of many new pop-up and permanent stores and restaurants. If you do head to Union Square this holiday season,
You will notice a difference. As the opening bell rang this morning, more information coming in about that hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers. If Warner Brothers shareholders go with Paramount at this point, it will likely have to pay Netflix billions of dollars in deal breakup fees that are built in. If the government rules against the Netflix deal, which the Trump administration has hinted about, Netflix could be forced to pay billions of dollars. All right, as we take a live look at the numbers up across the board, a little bit higher in the last hour. The Dow Jones now up about 1/3%, 168 points. The S&P 500 up 1/4%. And the NASDAQ moving higher into positive territory this morning. E-bike manufacturers say the Trump administration's tariffs are sending many of them into bankruptcy. President Trump's reciprocal tariffs did not include an exemption for e-bike manufacturers. Business owners say the cost of parts like steel, aluminum, and batteries have gone up as a result. In response to the e-bike companies' talk about the struggles, the White House insists America should be in control of every step of the supply chain. Spotify now launching music videos in the U.S. and Canada for premium subscribers. The feature was launched overseas as a test last year. Music labels will provide the videos only to paying subscribers. Users will start seeing the option to switch to video when they're listening to a song. The app will also launch video playlists divided by genre. Now, the feature is expected to help Spotify better compete with YouTube. And Amazon is rolling out some updates to its Alexa Plus service. New features include using generative AI to fundamentally change how users shop from home. The biggest addition is automatic price tracking, which allows users to set a maximum price for a product. Alexa Plus service also has a new Buy For Me feature that turns the AI assistant into a proactive shopping agent. It can complete requests like find me new hiking boots and actually make the purchase. I'm Pam Cook. That's a look at your dollars and cents.
Pam, thank you. It is the gift you do not want to give this holiday season. How you can help keep your loved ones healthy and protect yourself at the same time. If you think it's too late to get a flu shot, we're talking with a doctor in a minute about why it is so important to take action now. Stay with us.
The tragic death of a social worker at SF General sparking changes on site. A live report on new security measures being put in place and teachers taking on a new role protecting students from the fear of deportation, even though ICE says schools aren't on their target list. We'll dive into the findings.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Gassia Mikaelian.
I'm Andre Sr. It's Tuesday, December 9th, and you can see overcast along the Oakland estuary here. Fog still an issue, cold weather too. Let's turn things over to meteorologist Rosemary Orozco this morning with much more. Rosemary.
Yeah, status quo seems to be the call for today. Once again, guys, we are expected to have just a little bit of warmer weather as we get into the afternoon. A live look here over the cloud cover and a beautiful view of Mount Diablo and the blue sky. Temperatures this morning ranging from upper 30s to upper 40s, a near repeat of how we started yesterday morning. And the patchy dense fog is joining us once again in the inner East Bay as well as inner North Bay. For the afternoon, low 50s for some of those areas that will be stuck under the cloud cover for most of the day, to low 60s on the peninsula. A better look at what we can expect for you Bay Area Tuesday and the rest of the week. Coming up in just a bit at 8:31, we want to check the traffic with Sal. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Rosemary. You have a new crash in Castro Valley, eastbound 580 near the Redwood exit. And Castro Valley hasn't been the greatest commute. We've had some issues. It is slow in both directions. It's very slow there and also at 238, so give yourself extra time. Bay Bridge still backed up to the Maze. Richmond Bridge still has a backup from Harbor. And if you're driving on the East Shore Freeway, it is backed up coming out of San Pablo all the way to Oakland. At 8:32, let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Sal. San Francisco's Department of Public Health is working to improve security at Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital.
That's after a patient stabbed and killed a social worker inside of a hospital ward. KTVU's James Torres is live in San Francisco with the changes and the court hearing expected today. James?
And good morning to you both. San Francisco public health leaders say that they are hiring a firm to launch an independent investigation, taking a look at security measures at San Francisco General. They say that's after they say those measures failed to protect one of its employees after a deadly stabbing late last week. The district attorney's office now charging Wilfredo Tortolero Arieci with murder. They say he spoke with a doctor with a calm demeanor while also hiding a knife. The victim, Alberto Rangel, a social worker inside the hospital, then walked the suspect to the elevator. Police say Tortolero Arieci then grabbed Rangel and stabbed him. He later died. Now those leaders that oversee the hospital say security needs to be better. Some of those immediate changes include expediting the installation, weapons detection systems, increasing the number of security guards, adding security wanding. And they say they will be strengthening or adjusting security protocols when a patient is identified as high risk. District Attorney Brooke Jenkins calls the case heartbreaking and says it should never happen again.
We have to make sure as law enforcement that we do the utmost to protect everybody who works in healthcare and those who are trying to serve the people who need the most help in our city. Each and every day they come to work to take care of others, and it's our obligation to take care of them.
According to court documents, Rangel brought up concerns about Tortolero to hospital staff. The independent review will look at all security systems, staffing, and consider any necessary changes, not just at SF General, but at all DPH facilities. In the meantime, the suspect will face a judge this morning learning about his charges, while a small makeshift memorial continues to grow outside the hospital campus. We are live this morning in San Francisco. I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
James, thank you so much. 8:34 is your time. A new study finds anxieties at public high schools across the country due to immigration crackdowns. Researchers at UCLA joined with UC Riverside on this report. They spoke to more than 600 principals. 70% say their immigrant students are scared of ICE raids and the political rhetoric of mass deportations. Some schools are devising safety protocols in case federal agents go on campus. The study also finds that immigrant students have been bullied by classmates, and some students are going to class fewer times or quit altogether because they're worried about being taken into custody.
We are entering what's expected to be the peak of flu season. It'll likely run through February. We talk about the flu every year, but still many people don't take it seriously and they fail to get vaccinated. The newest numbers I could find show that 28,000 people died of the flu for the season that ended in 2024. Let's bring in Dr. Alishay Ajayi for some more insight into how important it is to protect yourself and others. Thanks for being with us, Doctor.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here to get this important message out.
Good, good. So back to that 23-24 flu season. It was particularly hard on seniors. Last year's flu season, particularly bad for children. What are you seeing this year?
You know, already we're seeing increase in hospitalizations, increase in illnesses, and even though it's early in the season, we've already seen 300 deaths from the flu already. So this is not to be taken lightly. It is serious, and that's why we want to get the word out to make sure everybody who's eligible, 6 months or older, gets that flu shot.
We're seeing fewer people getting vaccinated, not just for the flu. Why do you think that is?
You know, I think people are worried and they're scared. And the best thing you can do when you have concerns about getting vaccinated is to talk to your physician. Talk to that trusted person that you go to when you're sick, when you get a new diagnosis. That is the best source of information. And we know that the flu is safe. It is the best way to prevent that illness. So please do talk to your doctor if you have any questions or concerns.
How effective is this year's formulation?
We know that this year's flu vaccine covers 3 different strains of the flu, and that would really improve the hospitalization rates and really decrease the chances of those from people who are at high risk from getting even sicker if they get the flu this season.
So how do you answer those people who say, I got the flu shot last year, I still got sick, I'm not getting it again this year?
You know, I really empathize with those people, and it's really important to hear and to know that the flu vaccine does not give you the flu. You might get a little sore arm, you might get a little bit tired, but you're not going to get the flu from the flu vaccine. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I remember many years ago, I got the flu, and I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. In other years, I might get what I'd consider a light case of the flu, you know, and I'm assuming that the vaccine has protected me. Is it sort of hard to prove that the shot is protecting you even though you feel miserable?
We actually have pretty good data that shows that the flu vaccine does decrease really severe illnesses and increase hospitalizations from the flu. So the evidence is pretty clear on that. All the different health agencies of the different medical organizations agree that the flu vaccine truly is the best way to prevent yourself from getting into the hospital or getting really sick from the flu. I've had it before myself. It is not fun.
Yeah, it is the worst. If we're looking ahead to, like, let's say, getting together on Christmas or Hanukkah, how soon does the shot take effect?
It takes about 2 weeks for your body to build up immunity once you get that flu vaccine. So this is really the best time to get the flu shot. It's never too late, but we recommend getting it now as we head into the holiday season.
All right, because things just get busier and busier, and no one wants to make that appointment, you know, like the weekend before Christmas. Well, Dr. Alishay Ajayi, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. And if any of your viewers have any questions or concerns, please go to getmyflushot.org to get more information.
Okay, getmyflushot.org. Thank you again, Doctor. All right, now to economics here. As this month, the Supreme Court could decide whether President Trump exceeded his authority in enacting wide-ranging tariffs. If the justices find that tariffs are invalid, businesses of all sizes will likely demand refunds. Some, such as Costco, have already. The Supreme Court is deliberating over a pair of tariff challenges filed by 2 small businesses.
President Trump is in a bit of a quandary, having used a law which he should not have used. He should have used the laws which he has already used if he wanted to do this. But the reason he didn't want to use these is because they're subject to review, or they have to go through the International Trade Commission, or they have to go through the United States Trade Representative's Office. So he thought that this would be a good way to allow him to do whatever he wanted. And I think that's going to be a problem because a lot of small companies will be complaining.
The president says his tariff policy aims to shore up manufacturing and raise revenue. Last month, the Congressional Budget Office said tariffs would cut the federal deficit through 2035 by some $3 trillion.
Well, California's new congressional district maps will soon face a challenge in federal court. Next week, a panel of federal judges will hear arguments that claims the new maps illegally favor Latino voters. California voters approved the new maps under Proposition 50, a response to Texas redrawing its own maps to give Republicans a boost in Congress. Last week, the Supreme Court allowed Texas to keep its maps after challenges claiming the new maps were racially gerrymandered to suppress voters. The justices said they did not think the new maps violated the Constitution.
I think it is problematic that the U.S. Supreme Court, in its 6-3 majority, has essentially declined to entertain, in Texas at least, consideration of particularly the Federal Voting Rights Act. They essentially said a political motive can overpower all of those other potential concerns.
The lawsuit against California's map was filed by the California Republican Party. The Trump administration's Justice Department has also joined the lawsuit, even though it did not intervene in the case against Texas. The hearing will begin next Monday.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta appears to be considering joining a crowded field of Democrats running for governor. Bonta reportedly called supporters over the weekend to tell him he is strongly considering running. Speaking in San Francisco yesterday, Bonta said he has not ruled out a gubernatorial campaign.
I'm grateful for the very robust and strong encouragement I'm getting from many across California to consider entering the race. But as of today, I have not entered the race. And I have nothing to announce.
There are 8 Democrats, 2 Republicans as the main candidates for governor so far. Early polling has not revealed a frontrunner.
Well, East Bay family is looking for closure after their cremated pets were stolen from a Brentwood veterinary clinic, where the investigation stands this morning. And help make sure people in need stay warm this winter by contributing to KTVU's annual One Warm Coat Drive. You can donate a new or gently worn coat by scanning the QR code on your screen, or head to KTVU.com for a list of participating drop-off locations. The One Warm Coat Drive runs until December 14th.
The clock is ticking on Capitol Hill to figure out a compromise on health care. If no agreements reached to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies, millions of subscribers will see their premiums jump dramatically in January. Later this week, the Senate will vote on a Democrat-led measure extending subsidies for 3 years with no other changes. Right now, no Republican proposals have been set for a vote.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with Pope Leo this morning at a Vatican retreat. They stood at a terrace right outside of Rome and waved to the crowd. President Zelensky is meeting this week with European leaders looking for support in the battle against Russia. After meeting over the weekend with U.S. negotiators, he met yesterday with British, French, and German leaders.
Nearly a dozen small earthquakes have rattled the East Bay, most of them concentrated near San Ramon. Most of them small, the largest, though, measured at 3.6. There have been more than 80 small quakes in the San Ramon Valley over the past month or so. USGS experts say the area near the Calaveras Fault is prone to this kind of swarm. Today, prosecutors are called more witnesses in the trial of a man charged with killing an 84-year-old in San Francisco 5 years ago. During yesterday's opening statements, the prosecution showed security video of Antoine Watson slamming Vicha Ratanapakdi to the ground while he was out for a morning walk in January of 2021. The victim, known as Grandpa Vicha, died from his injuries several days later. A police officer who responded to the scene testified he found the victim badly beaten. Jurors saw a photo of the victim after the attack.
Mom and my son miss my dad every day. Still painful. No one should be like my dad. Everyone should be safe on the street. My father, 84 years old, loved to walk on the street.
Watson wore an orange jumpsuit in pretrial hearings. He wore street clothes during the start of the trial. His family attended the first day, did not make any public comment. His public defender in opening statements told jurors Watson had no motive or intent to kill.
8:46 is your time. Thieves broke into a Bay Area veterinary hospital over the weekend, and they didn't find money, but they did take something that's irreplaceable. The thief stealing the ashes of pets that had just arrived from the mortuary. It happened at the Central Boulevard Veterinary Hospital in Brentwood. The ashes belong to 3 different dogs. Customers heartbroken for those families.
It's like, what are you going to do with those? And I feel for the, the pet parents. Yeah. Because this is my 3rd dog. So I know how I would feel. And so my heart goes out to them.
Some of the small wood urns have pictures and plaques engraved with the name of the dogs: Hunter, a lab; Scout, a Chihuahua; and Rusty, a Mastiff. Workers hope they'll be returned. The hospital says it will now keep the urns locked up.
Daly City leaders voted to strengthen renter protections. The City Council approved a policy resolution in support of housing stability and tenant protections. Members say the vote is meant to affirm a commitment to housing stability. It directs staff to continue studying a potential tenant anti-harassment ordinance, which would include enforcement power. The move is largely symbolic, but leaders say it's the first step toward helping renters who've urged the city to take action.
We had no laundry access, no heater.
As you can see, there's little fungi growing out of carpets.
What this resolution does is that it helps provide some language and some support from our council members to show that we're on their side.
Last night's vote only approves a policy resolution, not a tenant protection ordinance. The mayor says he intends to work toward crafting an ordinance in the future.
Well, several West Coast lawmakers are coming together to help the struggling U.S. wine industry. Congressman Mike Thompson of the North Bay and Dan Newhouse of Washington State are spearheading the Specialty Crop and Wine Producer Tariff Relief Act. The 2 co-chair the Congressional Wine Caucus. Backers say the bill would provide direct support to help producers stay competitive amid rising costs and the ongoing trade war.
Agriculture should get some relief for these trade wars that have been started, unprovoked trade wars, I might add, that have been started, and the wine and vintner community need to be part of that.
The bill would give direct payments to grape growers and wine producers, as well as the specialty crop farmers, including the growers of almonds and olives.
Time is 8:48, and we still have slow traffic, although things are getting much better around the Bay Area. This is a look at 80. It's beginning to loosen up between San Pablo and Berkeley, which is the good news there. If you're driving to the Richmond Bridge, you still have a little bit of a backup. And at the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, we are seeing improvement. I think another half hour here, and we're going to see vast improvement here. The East Bay commute is still slow, especially in Castro Valley. And I do want to mention that if you're driving in San Jose this morning, don't miss your flight at SJ International, because 880 is very slow because of earlier issues, and it's just a lot slower than it normally is. So if you drive around there, all the roads getting to the airport are very crowded. 8:49. Let's bring Rosemary back.
Okay, and the fog making it a little tough for some on the highways as well. Sal, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. A near repeat this morning compared to yesterday and perhaps the day before and the day before that. A live look over the cloud cover at Mount Diablo this morning and the blue sky up above all that cloud cover. We remain high and dry, a ridge of high pressure locked in, strengthening our direction in the coming days, and that is expected to bring our temperatures up just a little bit and hopefully see a little bit more sunshine for our inland cities that have been stuck under that gray sky. The wet weather continues through the Pacific Northwest. In fact, they are dealing with flooding over the next few days. That atmospheric river continues to pour in to areas of Washington and Oregon, but not for us. Those storms continue to ride up and over California through the weekend. Our first chance right now at some rain looks to be on Monday. There it is right in there. It doesn't look like a whole lot, but hopefully going to open the door once again to that wet weather pattern. Right now, visibility in the North Bay, Santa Rosa reporting quarter mile. We're seeing it in the inner East Bay, half a mile there in Livermore, and it's fairly widespread with the low clouds this morning through the Delta region, the Carquinez Strait over towards the Bay. 46 right now in the city of San Francisco, 45 in Novato. Inner East Bay, it's a chilly one for you here, 40 degrees in Livermore. These temperatures are very similar to yesterday morning. 41 in Petaluma. Take a look at Lake County area. We've got Middletown reporting 1 degree above freezing. So bundle up if you're getting out early this morning. Into the afternoon, low 50s to low 60s expected. Hopefully some better sunshine coming our way for our inland community. Still going to be on the cool side, not quite as cold. We have been struggling big time in our inland cities, upper 40s to low 50s in recent days. The extended forecast, a tad warmer on Wednesday, not much change on Thursday. We'll drop temperatures ever so subtly as we get into the weekend with that dry weather continuing. Back to you.
Bottom line, still cold here, Rosemary. Thank you so much. All right, the San Francisco 49ers return to the practice field following a bye week. The Niners got a much-needed break after playing games in 13 consecutive weeks. San Francisco is very much in the mix for a playoff spot with just 4 games left. On Sunday, the 49ers will host one of the worst teams in the league, the Tennessee Titans.
Back going, getting our bodies back going was really good. So just using the days, practicing and then going into this game. Like you said, not taking no teams lightly. We look at every team as, qualified to win. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we go about it, and it's going to be fun. They got a good first-round quarterback. Cam Ward and what he does. The defense is solid. So just got to come in, not take them lightly, and do what we're supposed to do.
Well, right now, the 49ers have a chance to win the NFC West. The LA Rams and Seattle Seahawks each have 10 wins. Niners are right behind them with 9. This season, there is a much different vibe compared to December of last year.
Last year, I think the last 2 or 3 games we weren't playing for any playoff hopes or anything. I think we're out of it. But this year, being 9-4, it's just a lot better coming into work every day knowing we can make a push for the Super Bowl and the playoffs. I've never been in the playoffs before, so I'm excited but we got to make a strong start the next 4 weeks.
Sunday's kickoff is set for 1:25, and you can watch the game right here on KTVU Fox 2.
Los Angeles Dodgers star Shohei Ohtani has made history again by capturing his 4th Associated Press Male Athlete of the Year award. This means he ties LeBron James and Tiger Woods for the most wins among the male honorees. This comes after Ohtani's exceptional 2025 season, in which he displayed two-way dominance and led the Dodgers to a 2nd consecutive World Series title.
Twinkling lights, packed squares, and a surge of tourists hunting for holiday magic. When you join us on the 9, we're live in Florence, Italy, where Christmas markets are booming as the locals have been keeping traditions alive for centuries. It is 8:56 right now. A federal judge is ordering 2 Justice Department lawyers to testify about the Trump administration's deportation policies next week. The judge is examining whether the administration ignored his ruling last March to stop the deportation of more than 100 Venezuelan immigrants to a notorious prison in El Salvador. Supporters of these men filed a lawsuit claiming some were misidentified and should remain in the U.S. White House officials refused to turn around the planes which had left American airspace. The case went to the Supreme Court, which initially ruled the judge did not have the authority to preside over the lawsuit, but the high court later ruled these immigrants were denied due process. Well, the maker of an app that alerts users to sightings of immigration raids is suing the Trump administration. Apple removed ICE Block from its app store in October after Attorney General Pam Bondi said it puts ICE agents at risk. The app's creator, Joshua Aaron, says that's a free speech violation. He filed a lawsuit today. The Justice Department has not replied to the request to comment on the suit.
San Francisco is launching the city's first big charter reform in more than 30 years. Mayor Daniel Lurie and board president Raphael Mandelman say the goal is to streamline the country's longest city charter. It's a 540-page patchwork amended more than 100 times since 1995. The plan is for experts and community leaders to review government operations, policy making, and resource management to make city government more effective, responsive, and accountable. Proposals could be placed on the November ballot.
And in Oakland, Mayor Barbara Lee has kicked off the last week of a months-long series of listening sessions gathering feedback on possible ballot measures to reform the city's charter. Residents in Oakland are being asked if they're happy with the current power structure in City Hall or if they'd like to see changes to the roles of the mayor, city manager, and council members. An advisory group created by the mayor is expected to draft a 2026 ballot measure with those suggested changes.
The California State University system is seeing the highest year-over-year enrollment growth in a decade. More than 470,000 students are enrolled in classes this fall. It's a 2% bump from last fall. CSU says this marks the second consecutive year of enrollment gains. The system's rising enrollment comes after 2 years of enrollment declines following the COVID pandemic.
A significant number of potential home sellers appear to be backing away from the market. According to a new report from Realtor.com, there was a sharp trend in delistings last month as many homeowners did not receive any offers close to their initial asking price. The number of homes taken off the market jumped nearly 40% in November compared to the previous month. That's the highest rate since tracking began in 2022.
All right, we'll be right back here as Mornings on 2 to 9 starts in just 60 seconds. We're at the start of another dry day, sort of gray, but we'll see when, number one, the sun might come out, and number two, when we might get that rain. Stay with us. The 9 is next.